Reuters has published a story in which a potential key member of the Trump transition team, Kansas Secretary of State Chris Kobach, has discussed with President-elect Donald Trump the feasibility of a Muslim registry. Here to discuss that idea, GOP consultant Edward Gutterman and Ed Espinoza from Progress, Texas. Ed Espinoza, what is your impression of this story?
Well, two impressions come to mind immediately. First of all, it's dangerous to classify, label, or record any group of people based on their registration or their religion or their nationality. Second thought is that something like this actually existed in the United States after September 11th. It was called the NSEERS program, N-S-E-E-R-S. And what it did was it recorded the whereabouts of people as they were coming and going out of the U.S. That program was terminated in 2011 because it ended in 0 prosecutions out of 93,000 people tracked. Furthermore, the information being tracked was also recorded by the Department of Homeland Security and the Secretary of State. In other words, it was being done then and it's being done now. So a registry didn't do any good. I don't think it's going to do any good at this point, and I think it's a dangerous precedent to set.
Edward Gutterman, what do you make of this idea about a registry?
It's totally absurd and completely impractical, even if they wanted to do it, which I don't believe that they do. I mean, keep in mind, this has not been confirmed by anybody. It's one report, and this is just some guy who said he's been talking to the Trump team. You know, I could say right now that I've been talking to the Trump team about better ways to make widgets, and there's nobody standing here to say I'm not. So, you know, who knows? But it's totally unworkable. There's no way to keep track of people based on their religion. You know, to put it a different way, how would you keep track of Methodists coming and going from the United States? It's completely impossible. Now, what he could do is that you know, he campaigned on, and I think there's support for, he could limit immigration from certain countries, you know, that are on the terrorist watch list or state sponsors of terrorism. But to have a list of individual Muslims, it's completely absurd. There's no way to do it at all.
Ed Espinoza, does something need to be done? I mean, obviously the foundation of this is about terrorism, and Trump has been very boisterous and very concerned about that. Does he need to do something, or the systems we have in place, are those enough?
Well, and that's an important point you bring up, because we do have systems in place, Department of Homeland Security and Secretary of State's systems, as I mentioned a moment ago. But if they want to do something, if they want to add a layer to it, that's incumbent upon them to figure out what that's going to be and to do it in a way that doesn't violate civil rights and, more importantly, doesn't violate the Constitution. And these are people who have talked about the Constitution for years. If they want to hold true to that, they need to not only hold true to what they have said, but to the population that depends on them for leadership and fairness in this country.
Ed Gutterman, does Trump need to do something if it's not a registry?
He's going to have to do something because he campaigned on it. I don't think that involves registration, but it is going to involve border security. It's going to involve limiting the number of refugees from places like Syria. So he's going to have to do something because that's what he won the election on. But again, the idea of registering Muslims or any other or people from any other religion is totally unworkable, and I would imagine that that's already been dropped if it was ever considered to begin with.
Okay, well, once again, this is a report. It's an idea out there. Who knows how far it will go, if it goes anywhere at all. The two Eds, thank you very much for coming by. We appreciate it.
Thanks.
Good to be here.